Most people over 60 think stronger legs require more walking, more repetitions, or heavier weights. Shaolin monks have trained the exact opposite way for generations. The monk gets into position, and then he doesn't move. Sometimes the legs begin shaking even though the body has barely moved an inch. It looks completely backwards, but that stillness is exactly what makes the muscles work. Shaolin training has long used held positions to build strength through something modern exercise science calls an isometric contraction. Your muscles produce force even though the joint barely moves. And after 60, that difference matters. Strength doesn't just decline because you stop moving. Research on aging muscle shows that the loss of strength can accelerate later in life, which is one reason simple things like rising from a chair, climbing stairs, or catching yourself when you lose balance can gradually feel harder. But here's the encouraging part. Research in older adults has shown that isometric leg training can still improve strength and functional tasks, like stair climbing, in a matter of weeks. Walking is still one of the best habits you can keep as you age. But walking and strength are not the same thing. During an ordinary walk, each leg repeatedly gets a chance to unload. In a held position, there is nowhere for the working muscles to hide. They have to keep producing force, and that's the gap these 5 holds are designed to train. You'll start with a simple chair hold that directly trains the hardest part of standing up. Then, we'll use one of the most recognizable Shaolin positions of all, the horse stance, modified so someone over 60 can actually use it. From there, we'll target the muscles behind your hips, train each leg independently, and finish with a balance hold that reveals something ordinary walking can easily hide. 5 holds, 5 different weak links, and the first one starts in a chair. Movement 1, the chair hover isometric. Before we go anywhere near a monastery, I want you to feel the principle behind Shaolin static training in a position you use every single day, getting out of a chair. For many people over 60, the difficult part isn't sitting, and it isn't standing once you're already upright. It's those few inches in between, when the chair stops supporting your weight and your legs suddenly have to take over. And we're going to deliberately freeze right there. Sit toward the front of a sturdy chair with your feet flat on the floor, about hip-width apart. Lean your chest slightly forward and begin to stand. But once your hips are just an inch or two above the seat, stop. Hold that position for 5 seconds. Then lower yourself back down, slowly. If you're doing it correctly, you should immediately feel your thighs, and probably your hips, switch on. That pause is the entire exercise. And here's what makes it so different from simply standing up and sitting down. During a normal repetition, momentum helps carry you through the difficult part. But the instant you freeze above the chair, that momentum disappears. Your muscles have nowhere to go and nowhere to hide. They have to keep producing force just to keep you suspended there. This is the same basic principle behind an isometric hold, and researchers have tested that principle in older adults. In one 12-week study, men and women around 73 years old were divided between isometric training, conventional lifting contractions, and controlled lowering contractions. The group training without joint movement still became stronger, and all 3 training approaches improved stair climbing performance. Now, that study didn't test this exact chair exercise, but it tells us something important. Your muscles don't need visible movement to receive a meaningful strength stimulus. And here's a simple way to prove that to yourself. Stand up and sit down normally 5 times, and your thighs may feel almost nothing. But hover just above that chair for 10 or 15 seconds, and suddenly, a movement you've done your entire life becomes surprisingly demanding. That's why the most important part isn't how high you rise. It's how completely you remove the chair from underneath your weight. The most common mistake is pushing hard through the armrests. If your arms lift you, your legs escape the very challenge we're trying to create. Use your fingertips for balance if you need them, but let your legs carry as much of your weight as you comfortably can. And don't worry about holding it for a minute. Start with 5 to 10 clean seconds. Control matters more than suffering. Once you feel what happens when you freeze in the hardest part of standing up, one of Shaolin training's most famous positions suddenly makes a lot more sense. Because the next movement takes this same idea, removes the chair completely, and turns it into a stance martial artists have trained for generations. Movement 2. The Modified Horse Stance, Ma-Bu. This is where the Shaolin part of the video really begins. Ma-Bu is one of the foundational stances used throughout traditional Chinese martial arts. Instead of moving through repetitions, the practitioner lowers into position and simply stays there. And once you try it, you understand very quickly why a movement that looks almost motionless can become brutally demanding. Your thighs begin working, your hips switch on, your inner legs help stabilize you, and your trunk has to stay upright. Unlike the chair hover, where you eventually sit back down, the horse stance asks the entire lower body to maintain tension continuously. This is also where the better than walking idea starts to make sense. Walking is excellent for you, and you should keep doing it. But during an ordinary walk, one leg loads, while the other gets a brief chance to unload, and that cycle repeats over and over. In a static stance, that break disappears. Your muscles have to keep producing force without momentum carrying you forward, or the next step giving them an easy escape. Researchers have compared these different types of training in older adults. In a recent trial comparing a traditional Chinese exercise system containing sustained postures with walking performed at a similar intensity, the traditional training produced larger improvements in measures, including knee strength, walking symmetry, and fall risk-related function. That doesn't mean you should stop walking. It means walking and static strength training challenge the legs in different ways, and after 60, that difference can matter. Now let's make the horse stance appropriate for your body, because you do not need to copy the deep position you've seen martial artists hold. Stand beside a sturdy chair or kitchen counter, so support is within reach. Place your feet slightly wider than hip-width apart, with your toes pointing in a comfortable direction. Bend your knees just a little, and lower your hips as though you're beginning to sit into an invisible chair. Stop well before the position feels deep. Keep your chest tall and your feet planted. Breathe normally, and simply hold the position. 10 seconds is enough to understand what makes this exercise different. At first, almost nothing appears to be happening. Then, your thighs start warming up, and after a little longer, they may even begin to shake. That shaking brings us right back to the contradiction you saw at the beginning of this video. Almost no movement on the outside, but a surprising amount of work happening underneath. You don't need your legs to shake, and you certainly don't need pain, but it shows how demanding sustained tension can become without a single repetition. Research on isometric training helps explain why. When a muscle contracts against an unmoving position, your nervous system still has to keep recruiting muscle fibers to maintain that force. With repeated training, researchers have observed improvements not only in strength, but also in the way the nervous system activates the working muscles. In other words, you're not simply teaching your legs to become stronger, you're teaching them to stay switched on when your body needs support. Start with a comfortable 10 to 15 second hold. Stand tall, rest, and repeat. As the stance becomes easier, don't immediately chase a minute long hold. Instead, make the position slightly more demanding by lowering only a little farther while keeping complete control. The goal is not to prove how deep you can squat. The goal is to create clean, steady tension without losing control of your knees, hips, or balance. And think about where that ability shows up outside exercise. When you pause halfway up a staircase, stand at a kitchen counter, or catch yourself after an awkward step, your legs don't just need to move. Sometimes they need to hold you there. But the horse stance has one important blind spot. Your thighs can become incredibly strong at holding this position, while one of the most important muscle groups for standing, climbing, and pushing your body forward is still lagging behind. Those muscles sit behind your hips, and movement 3 targets them directly, the glute bridge hold. Strong legs aren't only about strong thighs. Behind your hips are the glutes, a powerful group of muscles responsible for extending the hip, and they come into play every time you rise from a chair, climb a step, or drive your body forward as you walk. Think about the final part of standing up from a chair. Your knees straighten, but your hips also have to come forward underneath you. If the muscles behind your hips aren't contributing enough, stronger thighs can only compensate for so much. That's why this next hold takes us completely out of the standing position and isolates the back of the hips. Lie on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor, about hip width apart. Press through your feet and slowly lift your hips until your body forms a comfortable line from your shoulders through your hips toward your knees. Then stop and hold the position while breathing normally. At first, the bridge may feel much easier than the horse stance you just performed, but don't let that fool you. Instead of spreading the work across your entire lower body, this position concentrates much more of the job around the hips. And if your glutes haven't been doing their share, you may notice one side fatigue sooner than the other. Research on isometric training supports the principle behind this hold, even though the studies weren't testing this exact glute bridge. A muscle can still receive a meaningful strength stimulus while contracting without visible movement. The important part here is where that tension goes. And that's where most people make the biggest mistake. They try to lift their hips as high as possible. Once the glutes run out of room, the lower back begins arching to create extra height. And suddenly, the spine is doing work that was supposed to stay at the hips. Instead, think about gently squeezing the glutes and lifting only until the hips feel fully engaged. You are not trying to make the bridge taller. You're trying to make the contraction cleaner. The sensation should be strongest through the buttocks and the back of the hips. If you mostly feel your lower back working, lower your hips slightly and reset. If your hamstrings cramp, bringing the feet a little closer may help shift more of the work toward the glutes. Start with a controlled hold of around 10 seconds. Lower slowly, rest, and repeat. As that becomes comfortable, you can build toward 15 or 20 seconds while keeping the hips level and the breathing relaxed. Don't rush toward a harder variation just because the movement looks simple. A clean hold in the right muscles is more useful than a difficult hold performed through compensation. And here's why this movement belongs directly after the horse stance. The horse stance taught your entire lower body to sustain force while standing. The bridge fills in what that position can easily hide by focusing on the muscles that drive the hips forward when you rise, climb, and push off the ground. But now we run into a completely different problem. So far, every hold has allowed both legs to share the work. Real life rarely gives you that luxury. Every stair you climb, every curb you step over, and every time you recover from an awkward step, one leg briefly has to accept more of your body weight than the other. And most people don't realize how different their two sides are until they finally slow the movement down enough to notice. That's exactly what the next Shaolin stance is going to reveal. Movement 4. The supported bow stance, gong bu. Pay attention the next time you climb a staircase or step over a curb. For a brief moment, one leg has to accept much more of your body weight than the other. The same thing happens when you get into a car, step around an obstacle, or catch yourself after an awkward step. Walking moves through these moments so quickly that differences between your two sides can stay hidden for years. Gong bu slows that moment down. The bow stance is another foundational position used throughout traditional Chinese martial arts. Instead of placing both legs symmetrically like the horse stance, gong bu puts one foot forward and one behind, forcing each leg to perform a different job. We're not trying to copy the deep martial arts version. We're borrowing the principle and making it practical for someone over 60. Stand beside a sturdy chair or kitchen counter. Step one foot forward into a comfortable split stance and keep both feet firmly planted. Bend gently into the front leg while keeping your torso tall and your front knee tracking in the same direction as your toes. Your back leg stays comfortably extended behind you, and your support is there if you need it. Then hold the position for about 10 seconds before switching sides. Now pay attention because this is where the exercise becomes interesting. One side may feel completely different from the other. One thigh might begin tiring sooner. One knee may want to drift inward. You may find yourself gripping the chair harder when a particular leg is forward. That doesn't diagnose a problem, but it gives you useful information that ordinary walking can easily hide because every step is over almost as soon as it begins. And unlike the glute bridge, which isolated the muscles behind your hips, this stance forces several parts of the leg to cooperate at once. The front thigh and glute help support your weight. The ankle makes small corrections underneath you. The hips keep the pelvis controlled. Your trunk has to stay centered while your feet are no longer side by side. That is what makes this stance so useful. It turns strength into control on one side at a time. The biggest mistake is letting the front knee collapse inward as the leg gets tired. If that starts happening, make the stance shorter or reduce the bend. The second mistake is leaning so heavily into the chair that the support begins carrying your body weight. Use the chair for confidence and balance, but let the working leg do as much of the job as feels controlled. And when this becomes easier, don't immediately make the stance deeper. First, reduce the assistance. 2 hands can become fingertips. Fingertips can become one light touch. Only when the position feels steady should you consider doing it with less support. The goal is not to look like a martial artist. The goal is to make your left and right sides capable of accepting load without the knee, hip, or trunk losing control. At this point, the 5-movement system is almost complete. You've trained the difficult part of standing up. You've learned to sustain whole leg force in the horse stance. You've targeted the muscles behind the hips. And now you've made each side work more independently. But there is still one thing every movement so far has given you: 2 feet on the ground. Real balance eventually takes that advantage away. And that is exactly what the final hold is going to test. Movement 5, supported single leg hold. Movement 5 is the supported single leg hold, and this one brings everything together. Researchers at Mayo Clinic compared how different physical abilities change as people get older, including strength, walking ability, and balance. One of the most interesting findings was that the ability to stand on one leg declined especially quickly with age. That doesn't mean a 10-second balance test can predict whether you're going to fall. It can't. But it does show how sensitive this ability is to changes happening throughout the body, because balancing on one leg requires far more than a strong ankle. Try it for yourself. Stand beside a sturdy chair or kitchen counter with one hand close enough to grab it if needed. Fix your eyes on one point straight ahead. Lift one foot just an inch off the floor and hold for about 10 seconds. Then switch sides. Pay attention to what happens. Does one side feel completely natural while the other starts wobbling almost immediately? Does your ankle make tiny corrections underneath you? Do you find yourself leaning toward the chair without realizing it? All of that is information. When you stand on one leg, 3 major systems have to communicate at the same time. Your eyes tell your brain where you are in the room. Your inner ear senses the position and movement of your head. And receptors in your feet, ankles, knees, and hips constantly report where your body weight is shifting. While all of that information is being processed, small muscles around the ankle and hip make correction after correction to keep you upright. So even though this looks like the simplest hold in the entire video, there is an enormous amount happening underneath the surface. And that brings us right back to where we started. A body can be working incredibly hard even when it appears to be doing almost nothing. One mistake here is thinking you need to lift your foot higher to make the exercise more effective. You don't. A small lift with good control is more useful than pulling the knee high and wobbling everywhere. Start with the chair nearby, keep your eyes open, and focus on staying tall over the leg underneath you. As your balance improves, add a little more time or gradually use less support. You don't need to close your eyes, stand on an unstable surface, or turn this into a circus trick. The purpose is control, not difficulty for its own sake. And now look at what these 5 holds have actually trained. The chair hover taught your legs to produce force where standing up is hardest. The horse stance taught them to sustain that force without momentum. The glute bridge brought the muscles behind your hips into the picture. The bow stance made each side accept load more independently. And this final hold teaches your nervous system to organize all of that strength while your base of support gets smaller. That's why none of these movements replaces the others. And they don't need to replace walking either. Walking is still one of the best habits you can protect as you age. It keeps you moving, builds endurance, and gives your heart and lungs regular work. But walking alone doesn't challenge every strength quality your legs need. These holds fill in some of those gaps by making your muscles produce force, sustain tension, control each side, and stabilize you without relying on constant movement. You don't need a long routine. Start with short, controlled holds, use support when you need it, and let consistency do the work. Keep walking, but give your muscles a reason to stay strong in a different way too. And if you want the next piece of this puzzle, the video I'd watch next is right here.